16, text 7. Griheshu yeshvatitayo narchita salilerapi yari niyantite nunam peruraja grihopamaha griheshu yeshvatitayo narchita salilerapi yadi niyantite nunam peruraja grihopamaha griheshu yeshvatitayo narchita salilerapi yadi niyantite nunam peruraja grihopamaha. Someone else? Vaishnavis. Griheshu yeshvatitayo nachita salilerapi yadi niyantite nunam peruraja grihopamaha griheshu yeshvatitayo nachita salilerapi yadi niyantite nunam peruraja grihopamaha. Word for word. Griheshu, at home. Yeshu, which? Atitaya, uninvited guests. Na, not. Archita, welcomed. Salilai IP, even by offering a glass of water. Yadi, if. Niyanti, they go away. Te, such household life. Nunam, indeed. Peruraja, of jackals. Griha, the homes. Upama, like. Translation, homes from which guests go away without having been received, even with an offering of a little water, are like those holes in the field which are the homes of jackals. Purport, in a field there may be holes made by snakes and mice, but when there are very big holes, it may be supposed that jackals live there. Certainly no one goes to take shelter in such homes. Thus the homes of human beings where atitis, uninvited guests, are not properly received are like the homes of jackals. Giriyeshu yeshvatitayo narchita salile api yadini yantite nunam peruraja grihopama. Homes from which guests go away without having been received, even with an offering of little water, are like those holes in the field which are the homes of jackals. So continuing on, Paya Brata process of worship. This will come up later in the chapter. We'll read how Aditi starts this Brata. Just like I was talking about Katyayani Brata, the gopis at the beginning of Margashisha month. The gopis went to the banks of the Jamuna and made an earthen murti of Mother Katyayani and were worshipping her with all sorts of paraphernalia, and they were praying that may Lord Krishna be our husband. They were eating only havishyana, gruel, for the whole month. Of course, Krishna, at the end of the month, he fulfilled their desires by dancing with them in the Rasa Lila. This brata, different vratas, tapasyas, austerities, just like last month, Kartik month, it is said one can perform tapasya. Last month, Kartik month, Srimati Radharani's favorite month. One gets the blessings of Srimati Radharani. Now Margashisha is Krishna's favorite month. So any brata, here we're reading about the Payo brata, means the milk brata. Milk is very wonderful, but if you don't eat anything else but milk, it's a type of brata, definitely. So later on we'll read about this instruction given by Kashyapa Muni to Aditi. So Kashyapa is very, very advanced, very, very scholarly, knowledgeable Brahmana. And so he knows so many different things from the Shastras. He's very, very, there's all sorts of levels of rishis. There's rishis, maharishis. I was saying, I think maybe a class here or maybe in New Zealand, I was saying that in Gopi Paranadhana's book, the one section he was talking about the difference between even ordinary rishis and maharishis. He said the maharishis are very, very exalted, that through them so many shastras are manifested and expanded. Some of them are working together to expand different shastras together, collaborating. Manu Samhita was a collaboration. Vyasadeva and other sages, Parasara, were collaborating together to bring the Shastra. And these great rishis, they're so advanced, they're absorbed in meditation, even from within their hearts, they're getting instruction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how to explain these things, how to expand and elaborate all these different understandings of knowledge on various levels. So certainly Kashyapa Muni was very, very advanced. He's going to give valuable instructions. Now he's asking some questions because he's come back. He's been in meditation, and actually it is mentioned that in his meditation he was just totally aloof. He'd gone away into the forest. He had his ashram, and Aditi was living in the ashram. He had, Kashyapa had many wives, wasn't it? Diti, so many different wives. So it must have been quite a big ashram, and many different types of personalities were living there. So he'd gone away, and he'd done some tapasya in the forest. He was meditating, and he was gone so deep into the meditation that he was aloof from the external situation. Now he'd come back, and he just noticed that Didi was not happy, and he was asking, what's the cause of this? And so obviously when everything is run properly in the household, and one can have the plane to play with, give him something to play with there. Otherwise it's going to be disturbance in the household. From the children. When the children are disturbed, the household is not going very well. Or maybe just the children are disturbed. When there's disturbance, so there are a lot of, especially Grihastha ashram, but all orders, and all varnas and all ashrams there's general principles for all varna and ashram, and there's specific principles to be followed by the brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, sudras, and also by the brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, sannyasis. There will be general principles, and there will be specific principles to be followed. Grihastas have a great responsibility. They have a lot of duties. They have a lot of obligations. And so everything has to, if one follows, now the idea is that the Varnashram system, the guidelines given in the Shastras, in the Vedas, different sections, are meant to elevate different types of people up to the higher platform, especially up to the mode of goodness. So that is the idea with human form of life. One is supposed to come to Suddha-sattva, to the mode of goodness, not stay in the mode of ignorance or the mode of passion even. That is the lowest species of life. They're very much in the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion. They're fighting a lot. Just to survive is a great endeavor, and a struggle. One species is just walking along, another species jumps on them and eats them. So anything can happen at any time. Some species of life, generally the different species, they attack and fight for food or protection of their area, so on and so forth. But some of the species are so much in the mode of ignorance, has so much envy that for no cause they may attack. So these lower species of life are very much in the ignorance. And of course, even the lower species can be elevated if they hear the holy name, if they're given some prasadam or something like that. They can be elevated. But gradually, that takes some time for them to go, perhaps from one body to the other. If they're fortunate, they can go into human life. But human life is not supposed to be acting in the mode of ignorance and passion, just like animals. Therefore, there's a lot of instructions given how to elevate up. Because when we're born in the world, especially in the Kali Yuga, even in the other age, especially we're born into the world, and the mode of ignorance in Kali Yuga is very strong, mode of passion is very strong and pushing on us. And so also we have attachments and we're born in certain situations. So therefore, very kindly, the great sages, rishis, maharishis, the incarnations of the personality of Godhead, great gurus and so on, have left very nice instructions how to be elevated. And so if one follows these instructions under the guidance of the bona fide teacher and guru of these types of instructions, just according to Kala Patra Desh, according to your circumstances, they can instruct you very, very nicely. So a personal instructor is very important. Just like if one is very serious about getting ahead, they take personal instruction. Just like if you want to, perhaps you're doing sport, maybe you're thinking, oh, I want to go to the Olympics and compete, maybe join the national team and then, rise up and go in the Olympics. Generally, they have personal trainers. They go, if they're considered to have some ability, then they will be given opportunity to come in a team, and they will be given personal training. So that personal trainer is just looking, overseeing them, seeing what is their activity, and instructing them. So even on the material level, we can see that those who are more serious about whether it's sport, whether it's anything, those who are more serious to get ahead, to progress in what they want to do, they have to take assistance from someone who's very advanced and experienced and an expert in these areas. So too on the spiritual life, if we're serious about making advancement in devotional service, Lord Krishna himself instructs, if you want to know the truth, just approach the Guru. So the Supreme Bhagavan Krishna, he is giving this instruction, just approach the spiritual master. Spiritual master can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Serve him, do all these things, and he is very kind to the disciple. He will impart the transcendental knowledge. So this is the instruction of Krishna, and those who are sincere, those who are serious, they follow these instructions. And so there may be a guru, one guru who initiates one. There may be other shiksha gurus who give advice and instruction in different areas. Here, Kashyapa, of course, was the husband, and he had quite a few wives. I think I forget how many, he married so many daughters of Daksha, 13 or something like that, I seem to remember. He married 13 daughters of Daksha, so he had many wives. He was a very powerful rishi, and a very, very respected personality. But at the same time, he was very detached from worldly activities and living householder life, but at the same time practicing tapasya, doing bratas, doing meditation. And now he's come back, he's seen this situation, and he's thinking, why, if everything is, obviously when he's there in the ashram, things he's doing yagya, he's doing so many different things, and these ladies are all very cultured ladies, very educated ladies, these wives, and so they're knowing how to live nice grihastha life. Brahmachari has to find out how to be good brahmachari. Vanaprastha has to find out how to be good vanaprastha. Sannyas has to find out how to be good sannyasi. Grihastha has to find out how to be good grihastha. Otherwise, you go from grihastha, you can become griyamedi. Griyamedi means someone who's just absorbed in the materialistic activity and then runs the risk of, instead of progressing, goes in reverse, regresses. So your life is meant to be progressive, especially on the spiritual path. But even on the material path, to be prosperous, I was just reading the story of the Prachetas who got the mercy of the Lord, and he told them that go back, and even though they were very detached and very Krishna conscious after offering nice prayers to the Lord, and offering the prayers that Lord Shiva had composed and gave to them, you offer these prayers to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So they did that. So the Lord was very pleased. You go back to your father's kingdom. King Prachanibhaya has retired. He left instructions. Rule over the kingdom. You will be very prosperous. You will make progress on the spiritual path simultaneously. And at the end of the life, you'll come back to me. So we have many instances in history where great personalities did their duties in the world, but simultaneously practiced their spiritual life. So Kashyapa Muni is one of these great souls. And so if one is intelligent, one will try to follow in the footsteps of great personalities like Kashyapa Muni. Of course, we can't be Kashyapa Muni, that he's a very, very advanced soul. We can't exactly be, nor should we imitate. Don't imitate. This is instruction in Hare Bhakti Vilas given by Sanatana Goswami, that don't try to imitate Guru. Don't try, and he gives, in so many ways, don't try to do the talking exactly like the Guru. You can hear him and just understand from your position, but don't try to do the exact talking. Don't try to do the exact walking. Don't try to do so many. I remember there was one of my godbrothers. He was imitating Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was elderly, and so in his older age, he was using a cane to walk. So this brahmachari, even though he was young in his 20s, he started using the cane. He didn't need a cane, but he thought that I'll imitate my Guru Maharaj out of naivety and vanity, maybe. But he had the cane. So he was using a cane, young man in the 20s. And not only that, Prabhupada's first language, in the beginning, you'll hear, his first language was not English, but he was speaking English, and in the beginning especially, he was speaking in what's called a clipped English. A clipped English is where it's not exactly fluent. You're speaking all right, but it's not flowing very, strongly, and it's called a clipped English. You're stopping and starting, and it doesn't exactly flow like someone whose first language is like that. It's like if I start to speak Hindi or Bengali or something. It's not my first, but then I don't speak exactly fluently. So Prabhupada was speaking like that, so he started speaking like that also. In the clipped English. His first language was English, but he started imitating Prabhupada in the clipped English. And so so Sanatana Goswami warned, don't try to imitate these things. This is actually an offense. Don't try to, exactly dress like the Guru, or use the bed of the Guru, use the asana of the Guru. These things are meant to be worshipped. It's not for you. Did I say the other day in the morning that when Prabhupada went to Kenya one time, he gave the servant gave the laundry, and then the next morning some of the devotees wearing Prabhupada's kirta, using his bead bag or whatever. And so you don't do like that. You don't go, oh, Prabhupada's got a nice kirta, and they go, I want to wear the Prabhupada's kirta. No, you can't do like that. And we have to worship Prabhupada very nicely. I remember many years ago, when I was the president here, we came in the temple room and Prabhupada Murti was gone. The Prabhupada Murti was gone, and someone's come in and stole the Prabhupada Murti. Where's the Prabhupada Murti? And so we thought like that, but after 1 week, the Prabhupada Murti came back and sat on after 1 week. And so later we traced it, and there was one fringy devotee who had some mental issues. So somehow or other he got in his head he wanted to worship Prabhupada in his own home. So he wasn't taking his medication that particular week. And so, we were very mindful about that situation. So, people do all sorts of strange things, but the great acharyas give nice instruction how to live the life. Now, later on we'll read that Aditi answers Kashyapa that, yes, I've looked after the guests nicely, all the servants in the ashram, all the people who are here, they've been cared for, the yajnas going on, everything is, the brahmanas have been respected nicely and treated nicely, the cows have been treated and the calves have been treated, everything has been done. Of course she was disturbed because her sons had been thrown out of their position. But she answered him and he wondered, he was asking these questions and he knew when these things don't go on nicely as they should, in the Grihastha ashram, then there will be some type of disturbance. So while living in the world, we have to be careful, just ordinarily, for any person, whether it's devotee or any person, they have to be careful because there's reactions to what we do. Because people understand these things, they do something bad, there's going to be reaction. You do some criminal activity, the police are going to come. So they kind of understand, but they just keep doing it. They keep doing those things, and so they're kind of aware of reactions. But there's reactions, present now. There's reactions that are going to come to you from your former life or lives, many lives. You've been acting for many lives, and the reactions can't all fit in one life. Sometimes they're coming in this life. And they're coming in the next life and the life after. So we're living in the world and we're going to get reactions for our actions. So therefore it is to follow the instructions given by great acharyas and great rishis and those who have left nice shastras and so on and so forth. It behooves the human beings especially to understand these things. So even on an ordinary level, and certainly those who know the Vedic culture, they know these things. So it's a great responsibility, Grihastha life. At home, you've got to work. There's a lot of things to do. You've got to work and earn a living. You've got to look after the family. You have children. That's a great endeavor. And then you have to keep everything nice and clean. These are all part of the regulations. Prabhupada was very he was a stickler on cleanliness. He was a paka. He was like a paka Vaishnava. Everything had to be very clean. He didn't like to see dirty things around the place. Even I always tell this story. One time he came here, and he just went up. Was going up, and he ran his finger along the baluster, and there was a little dust, and he immediately said, "Where is the president?" He called for the president. He didn't like to see dirty things, everything clean. You have to be clean. You have to take a regular bath. Regular clothes have to be clean. It's no good taking bath and putting the dirty clothes again. And where you live has to be clean. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was very famous on walking through the Brahmachari ashram all the time, because he was a sannyasi and he was living in his Ahiyari's room, but he was always walking through the ashram, checking out if everything was nice and clean. So all these things have to be followed in all the ashrams, and Grihastha ashram also. Everything has to be nice, suchi, not muchi. Suchi, everything has to be clean. All those, and then different things. Worship has to be done. Of course, if one is not following directly the Krishna consciousness, then all sorts of arrangement for yajna has to be done. Worship, all these things. You have to look after people, your guests. And here, even uninvited guests, this atiti, even people who just turn up, I think this has been mentioned in the last few verses in the purport. Prabhupada has spoken about this. So this is the responsibility of Grihastha. Now, Grihastha ashram generally, has to support the other ashrams, because the brahmacharis and those who are students, they're not earning any money. So they're being supported by the Grihastha, and the Vanaprasthas are retired. The grihastas have to give in charity to the sannyasis. So the grihastas have got great responsibility. So the one who goes into it has to think very carefully before they go into the grihasta ashram that will they be able to perform all these duties nicely. Otherwise, it won't be very auspicious. So the idea is that your life is auspicious, whatever situation, and if you're in the grihasta. So of course, Aditi's married to Kashyapa, so it's a grihasta situation. And so this question was asked, and here, Kashyapa is even comparing some, if the guests weren't received, even uninvited guests, those types of homes, he's comparing them to the holes of jackals. Prabhupada goes on to describe that, when you go in the outside, you can see little holes. Some of them mice live in there, some of them even snakes live in there. You have to be very careful. Sometimes rats are in there. And if you go too close, you don't want to go those. And same if there's a big hole, then the jackals, you don't want to go to the jackals. Jackals are very ferocious, and if you go there, they will perhaps eat you. Especially the little boys, if they go and they want to play in the hole of the jackals, there'll be many jackals inside there. They will attack you and eat you. So you have to avoid that. So Prabhupada actually says here that. One doesn't like to take shelter in these types of homes. So the idea is that you have to look after. I'm reminded, how to be nice. I've told this story before. There's a couple of stories that one time Prabhupada in Mayapur, we were walking with Prabhupada and we Japu walk, and we were going through. That time everything was rice field in the area, and so we were walking through the rice fields, and there's little pathways. And so as we were walking, one man came and paid his obeisances to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, "You see this man? He is a simple farmer. He sees the sadhu, and he's paying his obeisances. Actually, this is his property we're walking through here. He is the owner of this property. But nevertheless, he's not saying, 'What are you doing, my property? Why are you walking my property?' He's come, he's seen the sadhu, he's paying his obeisances, even though we are walking through his property." And I've told the story many times. Prabhupada was coming out of our ISKCON Juhu Beach Temple, and he was with Shyama Sundar and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. In those days, every car in India was ambassador car. You couldn't tell one from the other. So Prabhupada got in his ambassador car, and Śrīmad was in the back, Shyama Sundar was driving. He tried to start, and the car wasn't working. So something wrong with the car. Prabhupada, he said, "I'll just go get someone to try to help." So in the meantime, some gentleman came to the window and were talking to Prabhupada in Hindi, and was going on for some time. So Śrīmad said, "Prabhupada, what are they saying? What are they saying?" He said, "Actually, these gentlemen are very nice." He said, "Actually, this is their car. We got in the wrong car. Our car is the next one. But they are so nice, they are seeing the sadhu is in their car, and they are offering to drive me anywhere. I apologize for coming in their car, but they say, no, Swami, no problem. Where you want to go, we will drive you. It will be our honor to drive the sadhu. No, we have our car. No, Swami, please, we want to drive you." And Prabhupada said, then he turned to Śrīmad, "If I was like America or other country, if I were to go in the car, they would come with the gun. 'What you're doing in the car, get out immediately.' They would shoot you. They would shoot you." So this is the difference in the mentality. In India, they have that respect still. And Prabhupada would say, perhaps they're following a little bit like the Western countries, but if you scratch a little bit, it is still there, the culture is still. If you just have to scratch a little bit, underneath everything, there's still the culture. And he said, "This is very good. And do not lose this thing. You have to scratch it and bring it out. Not that you have to scratch it even. It should be in the front." I tell these stories because we see what the mentality should be. We see, actually, I remember the story of the Pandavas when they were in exile. Yudhisthira Maharaj lost the gambling and they had to go in the exile. They were living in the forest. Now, while they were living in the forest, because they were very famous, so Yudhisthira, the Pandavas, they had like a little bit of an entourage with them. Many would come to visit them while they were living in the forest. rishis, sages, and sometimes kings would come to visit them. So they would receive these people every day they had a little like a hermitage, like an ashram situation in the forest. That they would make them, so they would be moving around, but they would stay in one, and many would come. So they would receive and look after these. It was becoming difficult because they were just living in the forest. They weren't in the palace with so many amenities, and so it was becoming a little difficult. So it was said at that time that Yudhisthira Maharaj prayed to Surya. Some other stories say he prayed to Krishna, but anyway, we'll go with Surya. And he prayed to Surya, please help us. So the sun god appeared and gave one what's called an Akshaya Patra. This is a very famous story. He gave one, I think it's described as a big copper bowl or something like that. Other descriptions I've read it's a pot. But anyway, I've read it's a copper one. So the copper bowl. And he said that this bowl, you have many guests, and if you don't look after them, this will not be very good. This will not be very, very good. It'll be an offence on your part if guests are coming and you're not look after the sitting place, give them something to eat, something like that. So he said, take this plate, and as long as Draupadi, when Draupadi finishes her meals, you can supply unlimited amounts of foodstuff for your guests. So unlimited amounts of foodstuff for your guests. So, but when Draupadi eats, then there will be no more foodstuff. So we all know this, a very famous story. So one time, Durvasa Muni was visiting Duryodhana, and Duryodhana received him very nicely. And Durvasa Muni has many disciples. It is said that he was visiting at that time with 60,000 disciples. 60,000 disciples. Can you imagine someone coming to your place all of a sudden with 60,000 disciples? They would overrun your home, what to speak of you looking after them. There'd be nothing left of your house. Sometimes on Parakram in Mayapur, you have so many devotees, they can't fit in all the holy places where we're visiting. But he came there with 60. Of course, no problem for Duryodhana. He was ruling like the emperor, a big palace, everything. He looked after him, fed him very nicely. But he had an underlying motivation. He was talking to Shakuni. That they said, this Durvasa Muni, he is very easily satisfied, but he's got on another side, he is very easily angered, especially if he feels that someone has offended him. And if someone has offended him, he can become angry and curse them. We know he has done this before. So Duryodhana and Shakuni hatched a plot that why don't we send him after... And actually, after they looked after him very nicely, he was very happy with them. He said, ask any boon from me and I will grant you. And Duryodhana was putting himself very humbly. I don't want anything from you, but I think you should bless our cousins, the Pandavas. They're living in the forest by your auspicious presence. Go there with all your disciples and so bless them in the forest. But he was thinking that, and he actually said, go there at a certain time of day. The best time to go is this time, if you want to go and give the blessing at this time. And he knew what time Draupadi was taking her meal. So he purposely, he told the time when he knew that she would be finished and there would be the Akshaya Patra plate, the copper bowl, could no longer produce any food. So then Durvasa Muni thought that was a very good idea. He went there. And so, all of a sudden he just appeared. He just thought, unannounced practically, he came there with so many together. And of course, he was received very nicely by the Pandavas, Yudhisthira. Everyone received him. And then what will we do? Everyone was in anxiety. And we have to... but first of all, we can just recommend, why don't you go take your bath first, and then when you take your bath, we'll give you nice prasadam, nice foodstuff for you and all your disciples. So they did like this, and they were in anxiety. How are we going to provide for all these 60,000 disciples and for Durvasa Muni? And Draupadi was crying, and so she was praying. And of course, we know the story that Krishna came there all of a sudden because Draupadi was doing the prayer. He came there and says, "Do not be worried. Give me something to eat." And see, so she was very embarrassed. She was very embarrassed that she couldn't provide anything, and Krishna just said, well, whatever's left, there must be something sticking to the bowl. So there was some little rice, some vegetable or something sticking. It was sticking. So Krishna just took that little rice, a little vegetable, he ate it. He said, oh, very wonderful. I'm fully satisfied because it's coming from your hand. I'm fully satisfied. So he was feeling very full. And because he is the Lord of the universe, when he's satisfied, everyone becomes satisfied. Even everyone becomes full. So Dabasa Muni was coming out. Bhima was sent to call them. Come, please, sirs, your lunch is ready. Oh, no, your dinner is ready. Was that more at the end of the day? Your dinner is ready. Of course, they didn't have anything, but he was just told, you go and you bring him anyway. And so your dinner is ready. But when they came out, everyone, Dabasa and all of them, were feeling so full. Said, oh, how is it all of a sudden we're feeling so full, so somehow or other. So Dabasa said it won't be very good if we just go there and we can't, and they've prepared such a big arrangement of dinner, and we don't take anything. It'll be an offence on our part that we don't take anything. So they just made some excuse. Oh, no, all of a sudden we've got some urgent affairs to take to. Please extend my apologies to Yudhisthira. So they went away. So that situation was saved by the mercy of Sri Krishna. So, but we see the point that's being made that how they were thinking how to receive everyone and anyone who came, even they were living in the forest, even very humbly in the forest. There's many stories we know. There's another story of Jarasandha who received Krishna and Arjuna and Bhima, even though they came in the guise of Brahmins. This was after Yudhisthira he wanted to do the Rajasuya Yajna, and then there's supposed to be representatives sent all over to accept him as the king. And so they thought that Jarasandha would be against, so how to handle Jarasandha. So they went in the guise of Brahmanas. Now, Jarasandha was a little suspicious because they were very big and strong and not the usual build for a Brahmana. Bhimsena, gigantic, so he was a bit suspicious. Nevertheless, they'd come as Brahmanas, even Jarasandha welcomed them into his home. He looked after them very nicely. Of course, we know later they revealed themselves, and then Bhima fought with Jarasandha for many days and finally was able to kill that Jarasandha. But nevertheless, there's many instances in history where someone is a host, goes out of their way to make sure someone's looked after very nicely. So there's a nice lesson to be learned here. Of course, if someone is coming to your home with the intent of stealing something or hurting or harming the family or destroying the property, that's another thing. That you have to take action, you have to take protection, you have to call the police, you have to do... That is another thing. But someone who's just coming, even uninvited, and there'll be many who... the culture is like that. One time Prabhupada said, I can't remember where he said it, but someone said, what does it mean to be grihasta? And he just answered. He answered different ways, but this one time he said, grihasta means that you go outside, you're cooking the bhoga and offering it to Krishna, and when the prasadam is ready, you go outside and you call out, we have prasadam, does anyone want to come and take their meal at our home? He says, this is grihasta. Does anyone want to come? You go outside. Do you do that at your home? Sometimes, you have to be, sometimes they don't want to take the prasad. But he said, this is good grihasta. And so someone has to accept. But of course, we're devotees, and we know what to accept. Prabhupada told us that we can't, sometimes someone wants to give you. I remember when I was getting initiated, he said, now you have to collect the Guru Dakshina. And so we just went around the area, knocking on the doors. I remember I went in Dodi and Kurta, and I knocked on the doors. This is before this, in the St Kilda place. And I just said, our Guru Maharaj is coming, and I'm getting initiated. I just told straight. And it is the tradition that we have to offer something to the Guru when we get initiated. So I'm just going around the area asking if you can spare anything so I can offer to our Guru. And some people didn't even open the door. They were looking, but many opened the door, and they were quite nice. But I did get some offers. Someone wanted to offer me half a dozen eggs. I've got half a dozen eggs there. I said, oh, thank you very much, but we don't take the eggs, you know, and other people, you know, they offered the fruit, and so I just got what I just, so you have to be a bit discriminatory. In other words, you have to be a bit discriminatory, but the general principle is that you just receive, and you have to accept also, giving and receiving, and this is one of the principles in the Vaishnava behavior, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. So there are etiquettes involved, and so here very nicely we're learning about these things in this section of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Hare Krishna, I'll finish there. I'll just read this verse again. Grihesh shu yesh vatitayo narchita salile api yadi niyantite nunam peru raja grihopama. Home from which guests go away without having been received, even with an offering of a little water, like those holes in the field, which are the homes of jackals. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, you had mentioned how that we shouldn't imitate the spiritual master, rather we should follow their instructions. But what happens if the spiritual master gives an instruction which is not in the disciple's capability? Should they try their best in doing it, or should they talk to the spiritual master?
Well, I think that you have to mention to the spiritual master that Guru Dev, yes, I want to follow your instruction, but I don't know if I have capability. I'm a little concerned whether I will be able to function, and then ask him, ask the Guru. You know, I remember there was one disciple who asked, Prabhupada said, no, I think you should go to this country, and they expressed their you know, perhaps inability to follow that instruction and be successful. And then they asked Prabhupada, says, no, I think it'll be, or you should just go. So just ask him. If you don't think you're capable, then just ask him, and the Guru, and just have a conversation. He may ask you, why don't you think you can do it? And then with discussing with the Guru may change it. So all right, you may have convinced him, all right, maybe we will adjust that, maybe you can do some other thing, or maybe you can do something a little bit differently. So in other words, it has to be between this discussion with Guru and disciple, because disciple is always respectful, and always the attitude should be, the general principle is that we always want to follow the instruction of the Guru, but if there's some difficulty, don't be afraid to say. Don't be afraid to say. And I told that story the other day of someone who brought some chapatis to Prabhupada, and they were flat, and you know, chapatis are supposed to be like puffy, and so Prabhupada said, what is this? Why is it not puffy? And they said, oh, Prabhupada, here, he was staying in a home, here they only have electric oven, and you know, we can't make the chapatis puffy with just electric. We haven't got the flame to make the chapatis more puffy. So Prabhupada said, no, if you didn't know, why you didn't ask me? I'll show you how to do it. And so he went out there to the kitchen, and on the electric stove, every chapati he made puffed up. Says, I will show you how to do it. So the Guru can be like, so it's a conversation. You have to, so the Guru may give instruction. He may even show you how to do it. And show you how to do it. Just like the Vidyarambara. I did a Vidyarambara Yagya in Auckland the other week when I was there, and one of the little girls, the daughter of one of the devotees, she was going to the school age, and she was learning how to do, you know, the writing, the first writing. So you hold the hand of the student and you do the writing, how to do the writing. There's a picture of Prabhupada doing like that. So sometimes the Guru directly helps you how to do it. I don't know that writing. No, come on, I'll show you how to do it. So you have to have conversation. All right?
Thank you.
Very good question. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tago Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.